I said at the top of the show, One Nation seems to have scared even Labor into at last talking tougher about border controls and Islamic State women coming in, and how about we show patriotism and fly the flag. I said talking tough, I didn't say doing tough, but anyway. Yet there's no doubt that the Liberals sure have got that message. Here's new leader Angus Taylor today.
I participate in Australia Day every single year, as do my colleagues here, and will continue to fly the Australian flag on Australia Day. Well, look, our history has its warts and all. We all know that. But this is a country we should be proud of, and we should be celebrating all the time, not just on Australia Day.
And Taylor's industry spokesman Andrew Hastie also pushed patriotism today with an article in The Australian saying, when the governing class adopts the negative critique of Australia as its world view, guess what? You're going to break faith with a lot of irregular Australians who are proud of their country, who love Australia Day, who love Anzac Day, who believe in our flag, who believe in our national values and identity. Well, all this is very good, but still nothing like enough to save the Liberals, whose support is at catastrophic lows. Keith Wolahan, a lawyer, a former commando and a former Liberal MP who lost his seat at the last federal election, has written what I think is a brilliant article in inflection points and what the Liberals must realise before they can save themselves. Keith Wolahan joins me now. Keith, great to see you again. I've got to congratulate you on this article of yours, but before we get to your advice to the Liberals, I want to clear up a myth that's misleading many Liberals and journalists. This idea that the Liberals have to win back the city seats, specifically the seats the Teal MPs won from them. Quite left-wing, net zero Teals. Your response, are the Teal seats the key to the Liberals' revival?
Thank you, Andrew. Well, over summer, I went through the history books and compared where we were as a party in 2013, when the Liberal Party had 44 metropolitan seats, to where it is at the last election with 9. How did it lose 33 metropolitan seats? And before addressing that question, you zoom out and compare our House of Representatives with the United States Congress, which your viewers saw in the State of the Union address with Donald Trump. If you are to analyse who makes up the composition of the United States Congress, it is a majority rural, provincial and metropolitan area by 57%. So only a minority of 43% are from the cities. That's why the Republicans can largely not campaign in San Francisco and Boston, New York and Los Angeles. But then come to our parliament, it's quite different. We are much more urbanised, indeed one of the most urbanised democracies on earth. We have a majority of metropolitan seats at 57%. So the Liberals can't win without metropolitan Melbourne, Sydney, Brisbane, Adelaide and Perth. Yet we've got 9. So I looked at the seats that we've lost from 2013 to now, the 33. And when you look closely, the Teal story is about 7. So 6 that are Teal and then 1 that is green. But the rest, 28 seats, are largely a major party contest between Labor and Liberal, where Liberals have lost seats to Labor in largely multicultural suburban seats. And they differ a lot in their demographics and the issues that matter. And that was quite a surprise, because many talk about the metropolitan story like it's only a Teal story, when it's really only 20% of the story.
That's very interesting, because then you're also talking about seats further out, where the old things apply, the traffic, the commute, house prices, all that sort of stuff. Now, the other key fact that you raise also needs to be put on the table. You just touched on it there, and put on the table before Liberals copy One Nation rhetoric, their tone on immigrants. You point out that of the top 50 seats with the most people of migrant background, well, tell us, how many of them are now held by the Liberals of those 50?
2. So, for example, the seat that I represented, it had, when you look at people from a first or second generation migrant background, so you have at least one parent or you yourself was born overseas, it's 70%. And that's the story throughout metropolitan seats. So we have 2 out of 50. Now, that is a depressing statistic for a political party, but for me it shows enormous opportunity for where the Liberal Party can reach out to a new constituency. And one of the reasons it's a problem, Andrew, is that when you think of many migrants who've come here, there's no core equities for the Liberal Party. They don't know that the Liberal Party had this brand reputation on the economy or national security. That has to be rebuilt, and it's got to be rebuilt in the face of a scare campaign that's run by the Labor Party. And they run that scare campaign. We can expect them to run it, but we should fight back.
And for me, it also suggests that you can't just fly the flags as a nostalgic kind of gesture or, talk lovingly about the Anzacs, much as I admire them. You have to talk about values that migrants came here to participate in, to share, to benefit from, risking so much. We've got to be talking about rallying to a flag that represents the future, not the past. But what do you conclude from all this?
Well, my conclusion is largely personal. I wasn't born here, Andrew, and when I came here, I was looking for ways to give back. And I remember in high school having to read that book, The One Day of the Year, where it was claiming that Anzac Day was something of the past and it wasn't relevant to migrants like me. That didn't sit right with me. And I wanted to find a way to give back. And so when I served in Afghanistan, the other platoon commander that I served with in Commandos, he wasn't born here either, and many of the soldiers weren't. So we've got to bring new migrants into our sacred stories, and there's no more sacred story than Anzac. But we also need to say that the very things that put you on a plane and brought you to this country are the values that we hold dear. And there's no more important value than equality of opportunity. For most of human history in most countries and cities on earth, where you're born, who you know, what your accent is, that decides your lot in life. And this is a country that practices a dream where that's not true. If you work hard, if you take a risk, and if you put yourself out there, you will be rewarded. But I think people feel that's at risk now, and they feel that the Liberal Party needs to stand up for that again and say that we value you and we value the values that you care about too.
And I think too that the Liberals have got to learn to talk to people who were born overseas, not as a patronising, not just here's a pamphlet with other languages on the back. This has got to be about a story where there's no first here and last here and no special place and no welcome to country. It's all our country, united by the love of this country. That's what we've got to be talking about, isn't it?
Absolutely. And some of the most uplifting, patriotic things I went to were citizenship ceremonies. And you look out in the audience, people, they didn't just press a button and come here. For many of them, it took years to go through all of the paperwork and the rigmarole to get here. And you see tears in their eyes when the national anthem is played. And on Australia Day especially, I remember seeing an Iranian girl, she had her fingernails painted with the Australian flag and just tears flowing down her face. That's a common sight. And I wish more Australians saw that love of country that is everyone's, whether you've got ancestors that go back hundreds or thousands of years, or you've just come here. You are all Australians equally, and we value you equally.
Well said, Keith Wolahan. I urge people to read your essay in full because I think it is the best guide to how the Liberals can start digging themselves out of the hole. Keith, thank you so much for your time.